We are Spartacus, and it's season 3. It's War of the Damned. What a great one! I'm Matt. This is Steve. Bernardo shortly to follow. He said he was available an hour ago too. So I mean, as early as an hour. I was the one with the delay this time, but either way, I'm sure he'll be jumping on in a minute. Going into season 3, special thanks to Stig for finishing early, sticking cock in ass, and finishing the whole series early. He is wrapping up on a show that I am just starting called Black Sails.
Wait, everyone put cock in ass, right? We were supposed to do that.
That's yes. That must be right. Yeah, that was the last mission.
Yeah. I didn't have a cock, but I had a stick, so I did it for immersion.
Oh man. Okay, so we'll go into this. We'll go into episode 1, which is Enemies of Rome. There is an eagle staff, the Roman staff, the flag staff, and a face turned into pulp with the flag staff. A flag staff beating, which I thought was funny. We get to introduce to Marcus Crassus, who is an excellent acting. Automatically, I love him. I think he's serious business. Everything about him is awesome. After we've had 2 seasons of Glauber wanting us to, finally kill Glauber, it's like who can replace him, and how they portray Crassus is excellent.
Yeah, and condolences to the family of the guy who played Crassus's trainer, Richard Norton.
Yes,
passed away just a couple of days ago.
Yes, you told me that, and he was incredible too.
Oh, he's awesome. He's great stuntman, coordinator, and actor. He was huge on the VHS market in the late 80s and early 90s and stuff. When you got a lot of really cool martial arts and action movies that went straight to VHS.
Exactly. Yeah. King of the home video, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of great Gannicus quotes here.
Yes.
The time they're talking about the some of the past battles, and they said, and Gannicus was there, stark naked, saying, "Come forth and take golden tribute."
Yes.
It's like, that's just great. And of course, someone said it in our last stream here. This is where Spartacus grabs the spear, says spear, and they spear him, and he throws the spear, hits the Roman from a distance, and Gannicus says, "Where I stand equal with sword, you are far superior with spear." Like he's laughing when he says that. Great line.
This season also shows that between Spartacus and Gannicus was the better fighter with swords.
Yeah. It does.
It's kind of proven there at the end in the final episode.
Near the end, it is. Yes, I agree. And but this is, speaking of the old gladiator scene. That's a great scene where Crassus says, "Kill me. Stop holding back. I can't be babied. If you kill me, you get your freedom." And then respects him, loves the slave, kills him because that's what he has to do, but promises to erect a statue of him and everything. So we see a little bit of Crassus again. Bad guys aren't just black and white.
Yeah,
Crassus is true to his word. He cares about his slaves. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the slave respects him too.
Yes,
there's actually no hard feelings there.
No,
and we also see Crassus, despite being a crass kind of person, actually cares about his son and what his son thinks.
Exactly. And we also know
slave girl mediating kind of.
Yeah. We also know that we're talking about the first episode here, Bernard, so you haven't missed anything.
Yeah.
But when Spartacus beheads the 2 generals at the end, but then we find out that Crassus set the whole thing up, the whole adventure that Spartacus was on, Crassus set it up just to kind of, test the waters and see what kind of man he is. Hey, Melissa. But it was awesome. That was awesome because then we see, so this guy's not going to be as hard to outsmart, So everything about the first episode it really sets the tone for the third season and the final season.
And it also shows us that Crassus is ahead of the game. He knows now where the pieces are.
Yes.
And he's already planning 5 moves ahead.
Yeah, that's what we find out in the end, that he set the whole thing up, and he's just testing the water, see what kind of man Spartacus is, and gauging his enemy like he had been with his old gladiator. Anything to add to episode 1, Bernardo?
I put Tiberius as a punk.
Well, I mean, I love it. And I want to get, we're introduced to him. He's a little bit he doesn't understand certain things, a little bit of a brat, but you're going to see that even more later on. And I love it. But anyway, the second episode is Wolves at the Gate.
A little side note. Tiberius does severe damage 3 times in this season, and every time it's by using a shaft.
That's true. That's true.
It didn't bother me as much this time, because by the time that scene happened, I was like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah,
I was laughing because the Caesar actor did such a good job with the expressions.
Oh, it's great. Hold on, we'll get to that. All right, Wolves at the Gate is episode 2. Spartacus and his man infiltrate the city, of course. This is where you see the guy getting stoned for standing up to Spartacus. Standing up for Spartacus. Spartacus hits him with a rock, and they do it kind of in slow motion, too. You can see the head kind of, great effects. Great movie effects, because it looked like it took off part of his skull and brain. I still don't know how they did that. I thought it was it's gruesome, but it's just he cracks his skull open with the rock and kind of ends his pain.
Another little thing that's kind of shifts this season is that we start seeing Romans more as humans and not just a bloodthirsty, enemy that cheers for slaves to die for entertainment and all. They're very, we get to see both sides, and also both sides of the gladiators, because they are turning into Romans in a bit, in a way.
I have a point,
but a lot.
Yeah, there's a few scenes later on, like a few episodes later on, where I'm going to ask that, because I thought this is interesting. Now Spartacus and his men are going to take the city. This is what happens, but Caesar's introduced here. Even Caesar's has his rise to fame. This is historically accurate. Crassus backed Caesar, made it his path to Rome. They built on a future together. Stieg, I think you called this when we were talking a few episodes back, but Caesar is the one who really deserves his own spinoff, because I would love to see 10 years later in the future what the two of them, maybe fast forward, and now Julius Caesar's finally taken the throne. Crassus is playing peacekeeper between Pompey and Caesar, like it was in real life, and then of course Crassus died, which then fueled.
To look good for the part too, I'd imagine.
I think they were all pretty young when they cast him, and the thing is, though, I would love to have seen that story continue. That be the spinoff, because Caesar, he's interesting. He's an interesting person. Again, played very well by the actor.
Yeah.
What's funny is the whole time I was watching season 2, I was thinking to myself, I'm surprised one of these Romans didn't just dress themselves up like a slave and get captured, and then that happens with Caesar, which is what I've been waiting for. I was like, that's great. That was fulfilling.
Also, fun scene when Tiberius thinks Caesar's doing something naughty, or rather with the slave girl, because there's blood everywhere and it looks like she's doing something to him. That comes back later on when we find out that it was actually a tactical thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. There is that was it for basically episode 2. I wanted to go to episode 3 and kind of harp on. Okay, so Men of Honor, and this is, I think, what Stig you were pointing at here, because this is where you kind of first see the turning come, because now the gladiators the slaves have the upper hand over the Romans, and they have those two guys fight over bread. Is this what you're talking? Because that to me, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Who's the good guy, bad guy here? because that's the first time you kind of see they're making sport of them now. And the thing they're like, well, they did that to us. Not these particular Romans. These aren't rich Romans with slave. These weren't slave owners. A lot of these weren't slave. They were just Romans, mediocre Romans who attended the games probably, but never had slaves and gladiators to fight. So you're right. In a way, you're seeing a different side here. And where the Romans, these are just plain Jane Romans who didn't abuse or do anything wrong here. And they're the ones being tortured or made for sport by the gladiators thinking this is right. And I thought that I did have that written down. That was an interesting turn. And it's going to, it continues on down that road.
Well, it's a case of anyone can be corrupted by power. And in that situation, they have absolute power. And eventually, there's a slippery slope where you will become what you fight against. And I firmly believe this happens in real life with politics, because it's always like a pendulum. It'll swing far to the right, and then it'll swing fast to the left as a result. And so it goes back and forth. Right?
Exactly.
So we never get balance, because balance would be if it's like in the middle. Right? But the farther left it swings, the harder it will swing to the right later on, because that's a reaction. Every action has a reaction, and that's the, pendulum far to the left will swing further to the right because of the momentum.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And I think that is what's happening in this. All of a sudden, the slaves have the power, and it's swinging far in favor of them, and they're abusing that power because they feel justified because the pendulum was so far to the other side last time.
So what happened to them? Yeah. And so while Crassus and Caesar are a little bit at odds on how to approach things, Crassus is trying to teach Caesar what his master plan is, which we're going to see later on. The son, on his own, tries to take advantage of what he thinks is capturing Spartacus early and suffers a major defeat in Crassus's first venture. Of course, it's going to incur the wrath of Crassus later on in another brutal episode. But this is also the episode where we're introduced to the pirates. Historically speaking, they were also part of Spartacus's life. He did have a deal with pirates, and the pirates did end up betraying him. Just like in the show, in history, they betrayed him as well for money. For money. That's exactly right.
What they did.
And so, it was, but the pirates are there. It's nice to see them, they look grimy, slimy. Can you try? But they're fun, The captain seems cheerful. He's hugging them as brothers. Yeah, I thought they did a good job establishing that trust there, where he still looks like a snake oil agent. All right. So moving into, and this is a brutal one, decimation.
Which was a thing, actually.
Yes, which was a thing, which was and that Crassus did. He did do that. He did do this. So this is, again, it's very historically accurate in everything they portray here. Now, Caesar at this time, I should mention, Caesar is not known to have been on the hunt for Spartacus with Crassus. They were tied to the hip. They did do, what's it called? I want to say programs. They did, campaigns together, but this wasn't one of them. At least we don't know. But anyway, Caesar sneaks into the city. This is where he starts stirring up divisions. The hidden Romans are found, which stirs up, more distrust because Spartacus trusted the girl, which I'm going to talk about her later on. And it ends up with Crassus killing his own men. They're all drawing rocks. His son has to disarm it, and he's drawing rocks with his best friend. And that what is it? They have what are they hitting them with? Like batons or something? I can't remember.
It's clubs.
Clubs. They're hitting it with clubs, like cudgels, is what it is. And broken bones, shattered kneecaps, broken collarbone. I mean, and his best friend's cheekbone is messed up.
Yeah, that there is also a flip, because Tiberius's friend who gets killed shows
Yeah.
the same loyalty that the gladiators show to each other, the same kind
Yes.
of brotherhood thing.
Yep.
And loyal to a fault, that one. But side note, Tiberius in this show, Crassus's son, is written for the show. Crassus never had a son named Tiberius.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything on him, so yeah, I didn't know.
That's interesting.
Well, but a really good character.
Yeah, it was. I hated
Really
him.
a heck of an actor. You know,
he was. He's a little kid playing a big man, and we all see through it, and you all hate him. And the way he carries himself is, that what they call sometimes short man syndrome. The guy kind of walks a little tougher to look a little beefier, but he's still seen as a little man. And that's exactly what Tiberius walks around as. This time he's broken, at this point.
He's an Asher.
Oh man.
Yeah.
He is. He's the little brat you want to see get it. That's true.
Because
there's always got to be one.
He didn't start off as that. He actually started off as an okay person, but then this event happens, and it makes him cynical.
Yeah.
I feel like he also, it seems like he's fighting for his position because now he thinks it can be taken from it.
Yeah. So, and the ironic thing is Crassus is having those issues with his son from the opposite side, right? So all they have to do is talk, and that problem would resolve itself. But instead, both of them talk to the slave girl, who tries to be a diplomat between them, but it's not working because they're not talking to each other directly. So they're almost there several times, and then Crassus has to, no, I have, I'm your commander, because the timing's off. So it's kind of.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's again, there's just watching this in season 3 where we're at. I totally misjudged it because I kept saying, the first season was still the best. But no, the progression, the story matures. We're really going outside the arena, and this is, a little bit, because I was expecting for me to say it's good, but not as great as season 1. No, it's really good. It's really solid. Good. Yeah, that's
right. I think season 2 was the best, personally, because this season, and we'll get to that, it has actually 2 glaring plot holes that keeps it from being a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, but it has 2 glaring issues.
Well, Tiberius may correct you on that. He'll show you how to be respectful of his season.
He'll force his point.
Yeah. So, Blood Brothers is the next one. What were you gonna say?
No. This is where Tiberius rapes the slave his father was banging, because why not, right? All of them.
Well, he had to have he had to debase himself in the eyes of the audience and do this. And we hate him now because she was so nice, and what he did was just so cruel.
Either because he had a wife. It's like, there's so many like, wait a freaking minute. But then it felt like we didn't even see the wife later in the series, and I was kind of like, what the hell happened to her? She stepped away one scene and never came back.
He sent her to Rome, I think.
Did he? I don't remember. I didn't remember that part.
He did for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So because she wasn't allowed to stay in the camp, but then later on he brings her in. But anyway, this is also where the pirates betray them. They fight, which is a great scene as they come off. The Romans come off the boat. We got some more slow motion fighting that Bernardo said didn't exist.
Well, seriously, Gannicus and Spartacus were screwed. Crixus saved them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because what was about to happen right there was something that happens to Gannicus in episode 10. It was just about to happen. Foreshadowing right there. But Navia, seriously, Navia screws up the whole damn slave rebellion. She is the heart of everything that goes bad.
Yeah, I have some notes on Navia later on.
Yeah, I have some notes on the characters at the end I'm going to talk about.
But
great actor, a great actress. She's doing everything she's supposed to do perfectly. But the character, what a dumbass. Seriously, that's completely impulse driven nonsense.
It also felt like, so this episode that we're talking about now, this is where Caesar, this is where he betrays them in, oh wait, no, that's not.
No, it's one
It
episode
was
later.
the last episode where Spartacus men start killing the Romans. This was in episode 4 because Caesar's turning them on the idea, which is invading a city, which is, I don't remember where I was going with this, so we'll continue. Go ahead.
Okay, but anyway, like I said,
another one, Navia knocks out Gannicus after she has killed his friend for nothing.
Yeah, she falsely accuses him. Turns out to be, we lied out later on. Turns out to be wrong. She's flying off the handle. Romans have broken. It ends where the Roman battering ram bangs through the front gate, which I think is an awesome ending because they know that Caesar's the traitor. They got him cornered. They got him pinned. He's down. But then they hear the big boom, boom, and out comes the battering ram. It's just such a great scene
by Gannicus earlier on, because
what was that?
Navy admits that she was wrong.
Yeah. Oh, was it this episode? Okay.
Yeah, I think so, because it's before the attack, and Gannicus tells her that, okay, if you want to be a warrior, next time you lay a hand on me, I'll treat you as one. That there is the final warning.
Yeah, that is, you are correct. Yeah. But what a great ending to an episode. I thought it was just like it was just building up to this big rebellion, to this big fire arrows, and then the battering ram. They're trying to keep the gate closed, and
Caesar in front of the crumbling gates when the Romans coming through, and he goes like, "You better run," or something like that.
Yeah, well, it was he looked at him.
Yeah,
he just looks with one look. You don't need words. He knows you better run. I've got it's great.
Isn't it interesting that Caesar, ironically, is better at fighting with daggers, given what happens to Caesar when he dies later in life?
Yes.
I bet you that's there for a reason.
Oh man, maybe so. You're right. I wouldn't put it past the show. The show's so smart. The next episode is called "Spoils of War." We finally see Caesar shaving, and now and that's when I realized that's why Crassus didn't want him to shave. At the very beginning, he said, "No, Master Crassus doesn't want you to shave yet," and we don't think anything of that line, and they never mention it until after the takeover's there. It shows him shaving. They don't say anything else, but now you know why Crassus didn't want him to say. They don't spoon feed you.
Nope.
They don't spoon feed you. You have to connect those dots yourself. And I did immediately. I was like, shut up. Shut up. Yep. They never say anything about it. They don't say, good idea, Crassus. Me not shaving made me look like a regular person. No, they never said that. And I love him for it.
Yeah. And Gannicus is hiding because they escaped to, I guess, the bottom section with the slave he's trying to protect.
No, it was where she was hiding the slaves to begin with.
Yeah, they were hiding the same space,
and he knew about it because he was told that the Roman lady hid the slaves under the stable.
Yeah, right? But later, yes,
so that's another thing that came back. Good writing again.
Came back full circle. But when she gets over to Rome, he dresses her up. And says, now you look like a Roman lady, and gives her to the pirate because the pirate asked for her. Look out, ultimate betrayal, where Gannicus has to go with a firebrand through the neck because this is Spartacus. No one dies normal ways.
It wasn't Gannicus that did it. It was she.
Oh, she was the
one who stabbed the pirate.
Oh, you're right. You're right. She did. Yeah. You're right. Firebrand through the neck. Yeah, that was great.
And has the dopest horse fighting scene where Gannicus is on a horse and when he's going to escape, and I was like, that was
the horse stomp.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know how they shot that so well, but it was so fluid, that fight scene.
The music too was heroic as hell.
Yes. I wrote a note on here, somewhere on here. Music is great. And that was for every episode. And we haven't talked about the music, but the music is just spot on.
Yeah, it was like that. There was Gannicus's hero moment.
Yes, it was
the whole damn show.
Taking the maiden on the horse and riding off into the sunset, or on top of bodies of Romans. Yeah, baby, let's go. Now the Romans, for their part, there's a gruesome scene where they tear that man apart with the chains. Pulling the chains apart. That's where this scene is. And again, Crassus rules with an iron fist. He's not gonna. He's gonna be brutal. He's dealing with brutes, in his opinion. He's gonna be brutal, and I love that.
You know what? Back in those days, if you were leading an army, discipline was everything, because we've seen all through the show how when discipline fails, you get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Right. That's the difference between winning a war and being ended. And so Crassus, from a cold, cynical, strategic point, is right. The troops need to fear the officers more than they fear the enemy.
Yeah, exactly. That's he says that.
Yeah. And that's cold fact.
Yeah. The next one, I don't know how to pronounce it, but is Mors Indecepta. I didn't look up. I'm assuming that's Latin.
I have no notes on episode 7.
Hey, Teresa.
I don't know if I was just zone, but that's the only episode I don't have notes on.
Well, in Decepta is deception, isn't it?
Well, this is where they get trapped by Crass, and this is where Crixus just plows through a bunch of Romans. He does that arm lift and shoves a sword through him, choke it. But he's just plowing through one after the other. But he takes one by the neck, lifts him up off the ground, rams him with the sword, tosses him, and goes. It is like bulldozer. It's such a great scene.
He basically gets the Leonidas scene from 300.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah, it's like a side-scrolling beat-em-up game. And, like I said, Gannicus just had a moment like that in the previous episode. Now it's Crixus' turn to shine.
It's Crixus' turn, because this is where they're starting to have a disagreement. This is where they're the beginning of the end, where they split off. But Crixus says something very poignant here, and I wrote down, it's not like the past, is what he says. And he's like, we're far gone from the days of House Batiatus. And I was thinking, yeah, that feels like for children. We enjoyed those times. Those are gone. This is the real life now. This is the hardships. Well, and it made me realize my taste had matured since the first time I saw this.
Yeah.
And again, we see Crassus's strategic mind. He has built that damn wall all along, in preparation for it.
Yeah, he's built that trench. He's already had plans to trap him. And
another thing, because Naevia gets injured when they try to sneak into the tent, right? And then they escape, and Spartacus grabs them. One of the Romans yells something. Crixus stops, turns around, and basically goes, "Okay, you're dead." And that's when he storms back, and you get that.
Oh yeah, that's such a great scene.
Yeah. So it's like when he turns around, you're thinking, "Oh shit, they're so screwed."
Yeah, exactly.
They just took that little extra step, and it backfired on them.
And Bernardo, how can you not take notes on the ending where Crassus realizes he filled the trench up with dead bodies to cross over? Yeah. When historically, Spartacus felled trees and crossed over that way, over the trench.
That there is one of the plot holes I have. Because that trench is so close to the wall that the people on the wall would see them start to stack the corpses, because it was hundreds of corpses.
Right, yeah.
There's no chance in heck they would be able to do that, even at night, without being noticed, because it would take so much time. And it's that close. So I was like, no, I'm not buying this one.
That's kind of just a surprise moment than anything.
Well, it was written for the script. It's cool to fill it up with dead bodies. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
but I agree.
That's what it was. But it was just
No, Stig, I agree with you. I agree with you on that, because just throwing the timber down and crossing over real quickly and getting the drop on them would have been much more believable, and is what actually happened. So,
because all they really had to do was build a thick ladder and tip it over the trench and just run over.
Well, I think that's what they did. I think they dropped logs over it and then crossed over by the logs and got them. And, I guess that's not as climatic as throwing dead bodies. That's really cool. I
think the writer for that episode was inspired by 300, hence the Crixus moment. Because in 300 they build a wall with corpses, right?
Worked on this.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a rehash. They build a bridge basically of corpses. In 300 they build a wall that they tip over people that's full of corpses.
Right. Yeah, you're right, because the 300 wasn't that old of a movie when this had come out, so that was still fresh in people's mind. There is a scene where Gannicus and the young slave girl find a way to keep warm through the nice cold winter. I want to say that this scene, if I'm freezing my tootsies off, I don't know. It's cold. I'll just say that. It's cold.
But
he is Gannicus. He is Gannicus, so he's probably shriveled down to a good 12 and a half at this point.
Or, maybe he's frozen stiff.
Gannicus and Spartacus had a new girl every season, while Crixus stayed loyal.
That is kind of funny. That is kind of, well, Spartacus is not his fault. They kept dying on him. Come on, get out of here.
This is
well,
I'll never love more than my wife. Here's a new one.
It actually symbolizes Spartacus's journey, the women he has, because the first one is a wife when he's free, then it's a slave when he's a slave, and then he's a Roman. Like a Roman noblewoman when he's when he's a free man. So it's like
that's interesting. I didn't think about
that. That's an interesting take on it too. I agree. The next episode is called Separate Paths. Of course, Spartacus and Crixus decide to go different ways. Crixus wants to take the battle to Rome.
Crixus didn't. It was Naevia's idea, and this is also where history kind of was different, because they actually split in three. Gannicus took one.
Gannicus split up,
yeah, and the African guy who was with the pirates, Cantus, was that his?
His
name?
I can't remember, but yeah, I think so.
He was supposed to be with Spartacus from day one. Historically.
Oh, really? So see, that one I didn't look up.
Yeah, he was actually part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Now there's a few things here. First off, things I didn't like. Gannicus leaves Saxa, and she doesn't even care. Like, he's dumped her for the young girl, and now she just moves on. I mean, there is a great line later on that she says to Gannicus,
"You're back in my arms again."
Yeah,
I get it, but no, because you think about their relationship when they were actually together. She was bringing him other
maybe
women,
so
like that. So when I saw that, I was kind of like, it kind of makes sense, because she was kind of like she didn't care as much as he didn't care, kind of thing,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was just friends with benefits kind of thing.
Exactly.
Maybe, but the Roman lady and Spartacus, I don't like that matchup at all.
Nah.
It felt forced.
It did felt forced, and I don't think he would ever love a Roman just because of what happened. Like
he didn't love her. He cared for her, but didn't.
Well, yeah, but still, I don't like them. I don't like them together.
I mean, I didn't like Naevia in half of this, to be honest with you.
Naevia, this is where I have it here. Naevia has this weird, angry fight face. She is, and I'm like, what kind of face are you making? And it doesn't, it does. She's got these big eyes and a snarl.
Yeah, it was like she was like trying to play Crixus's part, but she's not the same person.
It didn't seem right. She needed some more subtle angry features. but they made her into some kind of
They also made every
bizarro.
worst decision in the show. Oh, we need to kill them. This time Spartacus is wrong, right? Crixus, follow me and kill all these Romans. Like she was influencing every bad decision that Crixus made.
No, I agree. I agree. You don't like her in this. And then, of course, Spartacus trying to save her gets speared by the son, Tiberius. And
Crixus, not Spartacus.
Excuse me. I said Spartacus. Crixus does.
Big thing about that episode. It starts with them fighting Romans and stuff early on.
Yeah.
And Crixus almost gets a spear through his back, but Spartacus saves him. And I don't think Crixus notices. So later on, when Spartacus is not there to keep
he doesn't have his back.
Yes. And so foreshadowing thing right there. But the place where they're fighting, Crixus gives a speech about the ludus and the arena being sacred ground for tears and blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when he dies, and the place he dies in is a pit with sand in it because it's on a dried riverbed thing, just like an arena where he always wanted to die.
I noticed that
tears and blood is falling when he dies from both him and Navia. So that right there was symbolic as heck.
Oh yeah, from his beginning when we first saw him to now, and I love the beheading, and we only see it through the reflection in her eyes at the end, which is a nice way to end it. It was almost as good as Bernardo's favorite scene in all of Spartacus in this one.
Separate Pass was the name of this episode. We didn't say the name.
Separate Pass. I thought I did, but anyway.
We skipped the Caesar treatment.
Yeah.
Well, that's in Separate Pass.
Yeah, Caesar. So is the Crixus getting killed.
It happened before Crixus got killed.
Correct.
It did happen. Yeah, it did happen before that.
So
but
Caesar gets butt raped by Tiberius. So here's one interesting thing. So I misremembered it. I thought Caesar was the one that raped Tiberius. Oddly enough, that switch around made all the difference. It wasn't as bad to watch and unsettling this time. It was kind of like, you know what, Caesar, you need to take the L. But also, it made it also made killing Tiberius that much better. Like his death felt that much like everything about him, his downfall after this was so much better. Granted, I'm not condoning any of this, but it was a lot more unsettling to think the older dude versus the young guy as opposed to the reverse of that, just because, Caesar was right, right? He was raping the slave and it was his fault. And he tried to throw it in his face and blamed it to his dad. So he wanted to give him a reason to talk.
I also love that soon afterwards, before they fight Crixus, Crassus wants to know why Caesar isn't on a horse.
Yeah.
Hey-o!
Tiberius cuts in and is like, he needed to lead the army by foot or something. I was like,
well, here's the question I have, right? Or this was where my mind went. When he's about to rape Caesar, right? I'm assuming Tiberius is straight. How does he get it up to do the deed?
I mean, probably anger and adrenaline of power. I guess.
He literally had a rage boner for him.
I think he probably did. There's something called the Roman shocker.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, he got
those cudgels they use in Decimation. I'm just saying.
He decimated them. Yeah, but he laid siege to him. He breached the wall.
This is where he had his separate path, right?
Oh, here's an observation. You know the scene where Caesar is standing in front of when the battering ram smashes the gate? That's foreshadowing. The battering ram behind him.
But you're right about Caesar's face is like, I do not like this.
No,
I hate this.
That was rage and pain perfectly acted.
That was perfectly acted.
It was outrage, everything.
Outrage, yes. Yeah, he's being held. The next episode is called "The Dead and Dying,"
and we assume Crixus is dead, and also Argon is dead, which we later found out.
We think Argon is dead. That's correct. We think they all died, but Spartacus tricks, of course, Crassus, his son, and captures him with a fake letter that Crassus finds out later on. They do have the battle on the hill, on the cliffside, where Spartacus does the double sword through the eyes. That is just so good.
Well, we got
so good.
Gannicus's fight where he is like balancing on the edge was so so well done. I was like, oh my god, that was so good. Like he could have gone any point. He didn't need to be that close to the edge. Good.
And then I don't understand why Navia fights the boy who killed Crixus. I get that, but again, why does she get the final battle? Maybe she's Crixus' woman, maybe. But then she has that angry face, and I don't like that face. I hate that. It takes me out of their character.
They were saving Crassus' son for last.
I mean, no, they were, but why? I was thinking, why Navia? You know, because, I guess because Crixus' woman.
No, they know that he killed Crixus.
Well, I know, but I don't know. I just didn't like, again, her little ugly fight face. Didn't make sense. Now, they stop him to trade. Crassus is going to save. He's going to make a trade for all the men.
500
for that one boy. 500 men. Excuse me, 500 men, including Argon and everyone. But the thing is, of course, the slave wife of Crassus kills the boy. Of course, Caesar doesn't care. Caesar wants to see him die. So then, he's going to spin a lie to Crassus. But that's in the next episode. Either way, though, they give Crixus they remember him in honor of him. They burn his head on a fire, and that
was tight.
It was a good one.
And if you're talking Soul Assassin in the comments, season 3, Asher's already dead by this season. He doesn't get his crew at this. If that's what
now here's the thing. Here's the thing, Soul. I thought that was a long time ago. I hadn't seen this in forever. I thought that was when Asher died. Was on the cliffside.
I thought it was at the end. Yeah.
I got that in the mountain mixed up.
Yeah. Well, basically, Soul Assassin is. It is season 3 if you go chronologically when Asher dies, because this would be season 4 chronologically. But
if if you're counting the prequel sequel as season 2, yes,
gotcha.
That's what you mean, Soul. And then you're right.
Supposed to count it as season 0.
Yeah,
actually. So Soul Assassin's not wrong. It's just,
that's fair. If you're going by that, that's fair.
I count it like a season 1.5 because I don't believe you should watch this first. You need to watch the first season and then the little prequel miniseries. But it's excellent. It's excellent. Anyway, the last episode is titled correctly, Victory. I love this one. Of course, this is where Spartacus finally meets Crassus, and of course, they meet. Crassus turns his back to him, letting Spartacus know he's not afraid of him. He does not fear Spartacus the warrior. Spartacus also accidentally lets him know that the slave woman killed his son, and now he kind of puts the pieces together that Tiberius raped her.
The slave does, and he starts asking, and Caesar wasn't going to tell him, and then the slave finally caved, and it was like, "I'm the one who did it. He raped me," and it was kind of like, "Oh, you should have told me that to begin with."
Yeah.
So Caesar actually kind of did the right thing by covering for her because he knew the information would damage Caesar. So he's actually honest about that.
Yeah. And this is also, of course, the big battle here. You have that I can't remember his name right now, but Lugos or whatever. He's in flames, and Lugo's still swinging and screaming. I love it. Spartacus.
It's a shame what's happened to that actor. He's done some interviews later on, and it was tough to watch. Basically, he got damaged by a vaccine, and he has like the shakes and everything. His body's ruined.
No.
Oh, wow.
And he kept silent for years and years and years because they were so aggressive against people who said something.
Oh,
so
no.
he's really that's a broken man.
Yeah, and it's too bad because he's awesome in this series.
Hell yes.
Yeah, he's built like a brick house, and those aren't fake muscles either.
No,
that dude.
Good.
This is the second plot hole I have in the show, is that they had dug those ditches with spikes in them. I mean,
that was so sick though. Visually, that was so sick though.
But
I get it.
How long does it take to build it? And it's right in the view of the Roman camp.
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
It was more of a, how can we surprise the audience? That surprised the shit out of me.
Yeah. Now
the battle is actually better than the battle in, let's say, Braveheart. This battle is so well done.
It's excellent. There's from stop to finish.
And
it is action,
continuous shot, which is crazy.
Yes, it's action and emotion. The same thing. Spartacus going after the Centurions, on his way to try to kill Crassus. That happened in real life. Spartacus did go after him. At least 2 recorded deaths, maybe more. He went after him.
I think he also killed his horse so he wouldn't be tempted to run away.
Mm-hmm.
He killed.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Caesar, of course, gets to kill Naevia, which of course kind of ends her. Saxa dies in the arms of Gannicus, and I love her final line. I find myself in your arms once again, and I love that.
Saxa and Lugo went down like bosses.
They did. Saxa was really awesome too.
And there's a part in this too where, and this is before this fight, where they've all split off and they're saying, "I'm Spartacus." No, I'm Spartacus, to kind of try to confuse.
Yeah.
them.
Oh yeah.
But what's weird is I remember this being like the big thing, right? Because I always remember the "no, I'm Spartacus" part. But then what I didn't know was Crassus wasn't even done by it, surprised by it. It was kind of like, we know that he's lying. He's using this to try to throw this off. We're gonna stay on mission. Yeah. And it was kind of like, it felt like it diminished that moment for me because I misremembered it so much. I was kind of like, well, that was more lame than I remember.
Yeah.
It was basically a good plan, but it was
it was.
I think it would have worked on Glaber, but not on Crassus.
Fucking Glaber, gotta hate it. I actually think Glaber's the one I hate the most out of all the villains. Him and Asher were still just the best villains, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're great. Anyway, Spartacus, as he's fighting Crassus, he's getting energy. Why? Because they're showing flashes of Mira. I love that. It crushes me. I love the ending there where he gets speared and he kind of just doesn't know how he's going to go, but he's still trying to pick up a sword. But then you see he's not going for a sword. He's going for the cloth of his wife's. It's just so great that they tie that in. I hated
that cheating moment. I was like, man, he was going to kill Crassus. He a punk.
Yeah.
And he did not fall for Crassus's move that he killed the other slave with.
Right. He didn't fall for it. Crassus was trying to lead him, goad him in again.
But a big note here is Gannicus was not defeated. He got walled in. They couldn't get him. So Gannicus, I think this proves Gannicus was the better fighter between him and Spartacus.
Oh, I don't think there was. I don't think, to be honest with you, I really don't think there was much of a fight. I think the fight they had together was really well done, but I think Gannicus was just too good.
And Gannicus is good, but anyway, I love it. Historically, they think Spartacus died. They couldn't find his body, so I like how they carted him off. Crassus couldn't find where they took him. They kind of got away. Speaking of Gannicus, he gets crucified with the slave wife, who also gets I'd forgotten about that. And I love it. I love his ending as he looks up into the heavens and he's in the arena and everyone is cheering his name. But he sees Oenomaus again. Oenomaus is like, well done, or whatever. And I mean, that scene is that is a great death scene. It is a great death scene.
The death scene's going to take a while, but and this is where I have a little hope that when they do the Caesar scene, that Caesar has somehow taken Gannicus down, and we can have a Gannicus but he's been nailed to a cross, so he'll never be as good at fighting, because we saw what happened to Agron. He can't grip a sword anymore.
Right.
because of the injury. But and also the symbol on Agron's shield.
Yes.
Snake, which Spartacus' wife in the first damn episode warned him, you need to be careful about snake symbols.
Yes.
That's
I love it.
Spell
I actually
doom
didn't
for you.
notice that. That was good. Yeah, that's good.
Now another beautiful thing is I like as he's dying, he says, Spartacus, that is not my name. I shall hear it again from loving wife. You know, and then of course when he dies, what happens? It rains. Bringer of rain. It's such a good show from start to finish. Yeah, I loved every single bit of it.
It's actually one of the most rock solid shows ever made, because a lot of people praise Sopranos and stuff like that, but the last season of Sopranos was kind of shit.
It felt a lot, you know.
It went stale. It went stale for a while. It wasn't bad overall, but it did. I agree. It stalled. I agree.
That show was redundant. My family loves that show, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm watching the same thing each episode. It's just they introducing a new mafia guy, and I'm supposed to like him.
Yeah.
But I think it's still good, and I'm not discrediting that show. I always feel like it gets so much love, and it almost surprises me because what makes people like that show wouldn't work right now. Like they couldn't do that again. A show, even if they recreated that show and it didn't exist, it wouldn't work. People just wouldn't get it.
Every episode in this show actively drives several stories forward. There's no filler episode in this show whatsoever.
Yeah. You can't look away, which is annoying.
Yeah,
sometimes.
It's and it. I remember a lot of people wanted more, but then again, that's a good sign. But I thought that they did everything they needed to do for this story perfectly in the episodes that they had.
Agreed.
It didn't need
they
to
did
be
a great job.
Longer.
I just don't know how Gannicus didn't become like a Hollywood sensation like immediately after this. Like he had the look, he had the attitude. Just so good. Like it felt like a
lot of these actors and actresses, I thought, wow.
Well, according to Soul, a lot of them are in the CW's Arrow show. I don't know what Gannicus's character's doing, but man, it feels like he's been Hercules, man. He should have been Hercules.
Yeah, Gannicus has disappeared. Maybe he likes doing other things. Maybe doesn't like acting that much. I don't know.
I hate that for us, but
Now I will say this: for anyone who wants more Spartacus, there is extra stuff you can get. This is a Spartacus Blood and Sand comic book. It was a 3-issue comic book. I do have it. The only interesting thing about this comic book is that it just tells like tales of the arena, kind of going back to season 1, but it also gives the let's see right here. There's the who's that? That's young Theocules. So it kind of gives like a little origin of Theocules, which is fun. Overall, it's just okay. Now,
what if they Spartacus's army had Theocules with them?
Oh man, that'd have been. I'll take that. What if?
Him. Have him instead of Lugo or something, right? Just have him all the time and then flesh him out.
That'd have been all. That'd have been awesome.
Show, man.
Now,
that'd be great.
Now, other things. There are 2 novels based off the series that I think are excellent. This one's called Sword and Ashes. This all takes place during season 1, and then a really good one is Moratori or whatever. That is just an excellent one. Both of the books are fine, but that's my favorite out of the 2. These are from Penguin. You can still get them for pretty cheap. But those books, the novelizations here, Sword and Ashes and Moratori, are worth your time. If you want to read more in the Spartacus universe, and that's all they ever did: 2 novels and a short 3-issue comic book series.
If you want to experience Spartacus and you really want to relive, that feeling, you got to play the board game.
The board game's excellent.
Find the one that's themed like this. Don't buy the new one because it looks ugly. you get this one, and it's like you're in the arena buying slaves and warriors, and you're one of the house, and you are fighting to the death, and it's amazing. And you just imagine in slow motion in your head. It's great.
We are missing something big.
Oh,
the last shot in this show, at the end of the credits, they put Andy Whitfield in there shouting, "I am Spartacus." That's
I don't think I did catch that.
You know,
just
I
watch the credits, and then
did not watch the end credits.
You see Andy Whitfield in the arena screaming, "I am Spartacus," and then it's done.
That's nice.
And I think it says in honor of Andy Whitfield or something beneath.
Oh, that's good.
Which was like they even did the credits perfectly in this case.
I will say this though, man. I don't think anyone's gonna contest this that watches this show. Gannicus is the best dang character in the whole show. He's too good. Like, he was a real showman. I think that was what we lacked from season 1, and he kept it the whole time.
That was maybe what made him less dangerous than Spartacus, because Gannicus was 200% about the fighting, right?
And the fun. This was fun sport
but
for him.
Tactically, he wasn't a leader or anything like that. So overall, Spartacus was way more dangerous to Rome because of what he symbolized and all that stuff and the tactics he employed. Gannicus was like, don't fight him one-on-one.
He did it for the roar of the crowd.
Yeah. I love it. And I just went back and looked, and yes, he is in the end credits. And I had hair raised all on my thing. It's so good. It's so good. I want to rewatch it again. It's excellent. But yeah, like I said, what a great show. What a great show. Now I'll be honest, House of Asher, I hate to say it, I just don't know. I don't know if I want to see a what if.
It's one of those things where you almost have to accept that there's a lot of lines in this show that were what if moments that were just created for the sake of entertainment. I think when I'm looking at this, I'm not looking at this as a history piece, nor did I watch Spartacus like that either. I'm looking at this as, a way to see more of what I loved. So I'm hoping they get some good characters, some excellent fighting, and that's all I can hope for. I'm not looking at it as anything as a part of history. I could care less in that area.
What I'm worried about is, since it's been so long since Spartacus ended, maybe its time has come and gone. And
I agree.
I don't know. Because Gladiator 2 freaking broke numbers, regardless if you guys like it or not. That time period is lacking right now. Game of Thrones brought it up, and then it kind of disappeared again.
It's fine, but I just give my honest account on it. Stig, are you going to try House of Asher?
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm not, but I will if you guys are. Maybe I guess. I don't know. I feel like you need to leave well enough alone.
There's a trap there, because if House of Asher doesn't do well, they're not going to do the Caesar show.
Yeah, I don't do well when people try to hang carrots out in front of me. Watch this or you won't get this.
I don't know maybe, but I don't know. I just want to see some fighting, man. Asher was such a good character. If he's a snake.
Are the same writers involved?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think so. I think they announced that in the trailer.
Same guy, same writer. But I'm thinking, they should have done the Caesar show before House of Asher.
I agree with that. I think they should have led with that one.
Yeah, because if House of Asher falls, the studio executives or whatever, they'll go, "Oh yeah, there's no interest for this anymore, so we're not going to do the Caesar."
Yeah. Well, anyway, all right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. It was fun talking Spartacus. Who knows? Maybe we'll get back, talk about something else.
So Soul Assassin has a great point in the chat. It says Spartacus, Ash vs. Evil Dead, and Black Sails were all made by Stars around the same time period. And all of them are excellent.
Yeah, and Soul, just to let you know, before we went live, I was talking to Stig. I'm actually watching Black Sails for the first time. Just finished season 1, so
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that after.
Yeah. But anyway, all right, folks. We'll see you never, because we are Spartacus and Spartacus is no more. So see you later. Yeah.